Hey guys, so we're doing the introduction to the NV4500 Swap Part 3. In the past two episodes, you've seen in Part 1 me getting the transmission and the adventure it's been. Number 2, I got caught up on putting the clutch pedals in and roughing in the master cylinder, and or getting the master cylinder in and then putting the slave cylinder up under the dash or underneath the hood, tied up. So yeah, we're just driving back to my parents' place now where the garage is, and it's I don't know, it snowed like crazy and now it's raining, so it's only the 25th of November right now, so I imagine the snow will leave. I'm not sure though. So anyways, we're just gonna go, and I think I'm gonna get out my template and trace it out on the floor, and we're gonna cut the hole in the floor today and get the shifter boot on, and I'll just seal it up in there. So that part's done, and then when the big part comes to swap it over, it'll make it a lot easier, as I've said before. So yeah, we'll get back to my parents' place here, and I'm gonna rip out the plastic on the transfer case and the boot and stuff, and then I can get my template on the floor and trace it out and cut it, so you guys can see all the measurements for that. And this is the exact factory template out of a 90 or out of a 2000 Cummins. I know over the years they did different holes and stuff, but thankfully this one had, I could put a piece of paper underneath or a piece of cardboard underneath the floor there and trace it. So that's going to really help and make it a lot easier rather than guessing and cutting a square hole. This will be the factory hole, so that's going to be nice to have it that way. I'm glad I took the time to get that template. All right, well, we'll catch up with you when we get there, and we'll start cutting in the hole in the floor. All right, guys, so we're in the truck now. I'm just I got the camera up underneath the steering wheel. That's why it's kind of hard to see in here, but you know it's tight in here. So first we're going to take out the shifter bezel here around here. This just simply pops off, and we're going to have to remove the knob too. That requires putting a screwdriver in here, popping it out, and there's a nut in there. Sometimes you can get lucky and twist them, but in this case we're going to have to pull it off. And then we'll pull off these two Phillips right here. So we'll get to doing that now. I'm pulling this trim ring out. This just lifts out like that. And then there's two, these are all 8mm bolts in here holding it into the floor. Yeah, oh, it's nice that I'm thinking about bungee cords. Alright, so now if you're going to use the same template as I have, I'll put up a design of it after and what my measurements are. But what I did was I measured from my parts truck, and the measurement from, I guess we'll call this point B right here and this point A, from the back of this tab here, given that this wasn't bent, it's pretty thick metal, so I trusted it. 3/4 of an inch back to the edge of here, so you're going to want to measure from the tab here to the edge of your cardboard there, 3/4 of an inch. And then from the center of your hole right here, I got it right here, 3 5/8 from the center. So if you draw a center line, center of your T-case hole, so you're going to want to put your tape right in the middle there, measure over 3 5/8 inches, and that's going to be to line up your side. So I'll make 2 lines, and then yeah, we'll trace it out, and then we'll cut the floor. I know in some of the trucks it's cut right through here, but I think I'm going to leave that just for an extra bit of sound deadening. And yeah, we'll get to cutting it now. I'm going to tape it in place and trace it. All right, so there's our hole. It's I measured it all out. We're 3 5/8 to the inside here. We'll be cutting on the inside of this white line. 3/4 of an inch back from this tab across roughly. It wasn't perfect from factory. You can see this is the exact hole, and it's not perfectly a perfect square or circle with rounded corners. It was not perfect from factory. Alright, so the hole's cut out. This stuff here is a pain to cut out. It is a real pain. It's good stuff, whatever Dodge made it out of. But anyways, I ended up just tucking some underneath there because it won't matter if there's a bit of a bulge with the console in there. We'll trace it out on the floor here and then get to cutting through. Alright, so it's raining out, and well, I don't want to bring the truck into the garage just because it's got snow and crap all over. It's going to drip all over. And we got some stuff in there right now that we don't want to get wet on the floor. So that's why I'm doing it out here. And yeah, but we got the drill right now, and as you can see, I just traced out that hole, got the insulation out of there, and then I cut it again. We're gonna have to cut that bigger, but just for ease of cutting and use, I'm gonna just leave it how it is right now, just to make it more easy for me to cut here. And yeah, so I got my drill here. Right here, I'll show you it. I just got a little hole saw in it, and then I'm gonna take it and I'll drill the 4 corners, and then I'll join that up with the Sawzall after, and then we'll go in and get a short Sawzall blade. Since my transmission's still in here, I can't go too long. But yeah, we'll drill and cut, and I cut that there so I can flip this up and get this a lot better, or a lot easier access. And you can actually see there's a ridge around the floor right there. I remember it from the parts truck, and going up there, there's one around too, a ring, just where they left the floor thinner or something for the holes. So yeah, we'll get to cutting this thing. Alright, so I was going to use this jigsaw here, or a Sawzall, but I found these tin snips. Actually, I thought this was thicker metal, but yeah, as you can see, they cut it quite well. Can get in there after and tighten up the corners and stuff, but yeah, I'll just keep going like that and peel it as I go, and we're gonna have a hole. Alright, so we are cut out. Got a little harsh in here with the tin snips, but everywhere else was smooth. So now we gotta fasten our boot to the floor, which is a lot bigger than the hole. So that's why I left this for after. So now I can position this into the floor, into the hole, and then now I can trace around here and I'll cut this out, and then we can mount that to the floor. I'm actually gonna just cut right over to here most likely, and around. Alright, so with our hole all cut in there, I'll probably oil this and stuff. I don't plan on leaving it for too long or painting it, but I'll do it when I can get underneath the truck. It's all grease under there, as you can see, from oil spraying. But yeah, our hole's cut bigger there. Now we're going to take our boot here. Fits this way. Fits in there fairly nice. I made my cut around here really snug on the thing, so I actually got to just push the insulation up to make sure that it's sealing on the floor good on the foam seal that's on it. So yeah, once that's in there, we're gonna take some self tappers here. I had the factory Dodge ones, but they were real rusty, so I'm just taking some self tappers and I'm gonna put them into the floor. All right, we are mounted in there. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop this cup holder here. And while we're in here, since I'm getting floor cup holders, I'm gonna take this out right away. So you got 4 Phillips in there, 1, 2, 4 there. And there's a light up top there that unclips, and that'll go into my my cup holder, or into my map holder. All right, so with that pulled out, you can pull your light, just unclip it from the old clip, which is right here. Then you come over to your new one, you just take these 2 tabs on your light. I can't film it because you have to attach it so close, but yeah, just take those clips and they'll clip right into the bracket on your old one. It's different from the one that was in your cup holder, but it'll clip right into there. And then you can just screw it in the same way as you took it out, 2 on the top or 3 on the top. And I had to loosen the corner of my dash to get in there. Yeah, and then we'll put that map pocket. All right, bye bye squeaky old cup holders. So I just set the console in there. It fits up in there, and you 2 screws there, your 2 that you took out over there before, 2 here. It actually had a bracket from factory that went underneath to support your cup holders like this. I think I'm gonna leave it out for now. I'll see if I put it in, but it seems pretty sturdy to me in there, and I don't know, it's just going to be kind of a pain to put in when then you get those flimsy tabs in there. I might just put 2 longer screws through. I'm going to look underneath to see what the reasoning for that tab was from factory. But I think I can just put longer screws through, and it'll be a bit of space there, just snug them up, and it's going to be nice and sturdy. But yeah, it's in there now. We're going to just put all of our screws in. It's all bolted in there now, and man, it's sturdy, so I'm not going to put that bracket in because I'm going to be driving it for a while. I'll see what it's like. But yeah, we'll put our boot in there and get our shifter or our transfer case and everything all back together here now. All right, so that's it for the interior part there. We have one more piece which I have right in here, and that goes behind your shifter selection. But we're not going to pull that away or apart right away, so we'll leave that in there. We'll probably pull that apart when we do the steering column to remove that. But yeah, for now, that's it. Alright guys, so I think that's about it for part 3 of the NV4500 swap. This is the next day here after I shot the last video, and I was just going through some footage, and it's pretty long, that interior part of the video, so I think I'll section that off into part 3. I'm doing this all in parts because I don't want it to be too long, all of them together, and have a hour-long video, so I'd rather put it in parts. And then if you just need help with your interior or something, you can click on the interior one or part 3, or if you want to see anything else, you can go through all the parts. It'll just make it simpler. So anyways, as I promised, I would reveal, or not reveal, but show you the template and make a template of what sizes you need for cutting your hole in your floor if you want to be factory. I mean, I'm not like the guy that's perfect factory, but I want to be as close as I can, and I'm not going to cut a little square hole. If a factory had it big, I'm going to make it big and put the boot in. Everything fits fine then. Like your floor boot that has 4 tabs that stick through the floor, it'll fit perfect right into here. So that's what you want to do, in my opinion. So as promised, I said I'd put it at the end of the video. I made a template right here of what the dimensions are of this, because you don't know the dimensions of it. So I'll get the camera up close here and we'll show you the dimensions of it and clarify everything with you guys. Alright, so getting over here to the template, Don't mind my beautiful illustration here. I tried to make it as straightforward as possible and have as much information on it to suit you guys and make your process easier. So just don't mind all the numbers on it right now, and this will be a good shot that you guys can look up or look at to draw it. But for now, I'll just start to explain on what all these numbers mean. So when you go to first cut out your numbers or your template, we'll start with that. So when you take your template here, this is just my illustration. It's to size, it's accurate, but you're gonna want to make your template 7 inches, 6 7/8 actually to be dead on, and 6 7/8 from here to here. So we'll change that right there to 6 7/8, and then this measurement here, you want it to be 5 3/4 wide. So you're gonna make it just like that, 6 7/8 tall by 5 3/4 wide. And then my only way to explain to you guys how to round the corners perfectly for your boot is measure it. So this hole is definitely not a perfect rectangle with corners. Like when you look at the Dodge floor pan, it is not cut out perfectly symmetrical at all. So not in my mind, but in Dodge's mind, they should have made it a lot better symmetrical. I don't see why they wouldn't. But anyways, this worked. So before you round, if you go to your center, you measure your 5 3/4, you half that, you go to your center line here. You go 2 3/4 from your center on there, and that'll bring you from here roughly to here, and then you can start rounding your rectangle. This is being that you make a rectangle template based on my measurements of 6 7/8 by 5 3/4. You make it 2 3/4 wide at the top here, and then you can start rounding off the corner of your square. Each side is 4 inches, and then they start it to round, and then this and then the bottom was 3 inches, a little bit more than the 2 3/4 up top, and then it started to round. So I mean, you can probably make it all. That's being really really particular about it, but yeah, that's a 1/4 inch smaller on the top roughly, and that should get you your template. So these measurements right here, here, and here all are just for how to round, and these ones are your width and height. So getting off that, we're gonna get on to how to center this. So take your tape and go to the center of your transfer case hole. Your transfer case hole is gonna be farther down, but my piece of cardboard wasn't big enough and I didn't draw it perfectly to scale. So don't ask me why I was in a rush when I was leaving there, because I had to drive like 5 hours or whatever back from Quebec to here. So I went from the center of the transfer case hole to the side of here, and that's 3 5/8 of an inch from there. So that's how you get your template to line up, I guess horizontally anyways. We'll say this is horizontally and this is vertical if we're looking at it upwards. But if you put it on your floor, you want that arrow there, you want it to be right like that. Then you go up to your top and you have your 3/4 inch measurement that goes from the tab. There's a tab up there, not a tab, but it's a metal, bent metal angle that goes across there. And you have 2 mount screws up top, 2 down low that this is where your top screws would go, right in there and there, off of your old piece of plastic. Your new console bolts into 2 lower ones, and the tab will be bent like that. You want to take a measurement off of the bend mark. So you can take your tape and just butt it right into it, and you want to be three-quarters of an inch from there to there, from that tab back to the top of your hole there, and then you cut that out, and then you can trace it out. You should be fairly square then. Judge it yourself though, because these are rough. These are pretty much dead on measurements, but it's very hard to get it square off of the transfer case measurement. But that was my only reference point on how to keep it from twisting. That was my only reference point right there. You can square it up with your 3/4 up here, and that was my only reference point. So I hope you understood that, and I hope I explained it semi well. I know it's been about almost 6 minutes now of explaining, but hopefully you get it. If not, just zone me out and look at the picture for yourself, and I'm sure you'll figure it out by the drawing. It should be fairly straightforward. Alright guys, so that's about it for the NV4500 Swap Part 3. It's time for a beer. Sorry if I bored you with the template drawing, but I realize that there's a bunch of different types of learners in the world. Some people need stuff explained to them, some people are visual, and so it goes on. So that's why it's there. If you don't need it, just skip through it and draw out your template there, or however you feel. But once you have that template there, that's exact measurements out of a Dodge truck. As you can see, I was within probably about the 1/8 of an inch, and that's your exact measurements, and your shifter boot's going to fit nice into the floor, and that was factory out of a 2000 Dodge regular cab truck. So I'm not sure if the extended cabs would be different. I don't think so. I can't see why they would be different at all, because the upfront would be the same. But anyways, just so you know, those measurements came out of a regular cab truck, and I was going into a regular cab, so it didn't matter. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for part 4. And in the meantime, if you want to see some other stuff that I'm doing, shoot me a subscribe, and you can see my windmill videos. I'm in the process of restoring this old BD windmill. I got some snowmobile videos going on there, and I have my ATV over here, which you'll see all kinds of videos on my channel. So your subscription would really be appreciated. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the new year, 2019. So by the end of December, I would like to have 1,000 subscribers. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope you're enjoying all the parts to the NV4500 Swap, and stay tuned for more. Thanks, guys.